Hello, this is section 13.1, conic sections, and it's the circle. And the reason why it's called a conic section is if you think of taking a cone and splitting it horizontally, then if you looked at the cut that you made, it would be a circle. And I'll show you, try to remember to show you in class how that works. But that's the reason why this chapter is called conic sections, because there's different ways you can cut a cone to make all these conic sections. So our objectives today for the circle is to write the standard form of a circle's equation, give the center and the radius of the circle whose equation is in standard form, convert the general form of a circle equation to standard form. So let's look at the standard form of a circle. Well, let's define a circle first, then we'll look at the standard form. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that is equidistant from a point called the center. The fixed distance from the circle's center to any point on the circle is called the radius. And now you guys all know what a circle is. You know what a radius is from geometry. But you haven't really studied the equation on how to find a circle and graph it on a coordinate plane. That equation is right here. This is the standard form of the equation of a circle with center h and k and radius r is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. The key part about this is this formula has minuses in here for its standard form, which means when we have h, or when we're trying to pull out h and k out of this form to get the center, it's always going to be the opposite sign because of these minuses. So let's look at an example, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I gotta move this up here. Okay, it says finding the standard form of a circle's equation. Oops. And it says, write the standard form of equation of a circle with center 0, 0 and a radius of 2. Now, if they give us the center, they're giving us h and k. Okay, that's the center. And obviously this is r. Radius is r. So our formula for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And if we plug in the numbers, 0, 0 goes in for h and k, and if in for r we get a 2, so it's going to be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 2 squared. And you can see if the center is at 0, 0, if we're taking x minus 0, well, we're taking away nothing, so we really just have an x here. And on y minus 0, we're taking away nothing, so we really just have a y there. So we really just have x squared plus y squared equals 4. And the one thing you should notice about circles is in order to have a circle, you're always going to have an x squared plus a y squared. Okay, there are going to be different things in the future, and you're going to have to recognize the difference between a circle and a hyperbola and a parabola and their formulas. But a circle is always going to have an x squared, and it's going to have a plus in between, and then a y squared. They're both going to be squared. So try checkpoint 1. When you come back, I'll give you the answer. Okay, the answer to checkpoint 1 is x squared plus y squared equals 16. Let's do example 2, which gives us different numbers for h and k other than 0, 0. So it says write the standard form of equation of circle with the center at negative 2, 3. So again, this is h and that's k. And a radius of 4. That's r. And so we've got our equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We plug in the h and the k, and notice I got a -2 here, so my formula says x minus a -2, and that's going to be squared. And then I got, for k, I got a 3, so it's just y minus 3 squared. And my radius is 4 squared. And I told you that these h and k's always going to end up opposite. When they give us the center, or if you're trying to find the center, it's always the opposite sign if you're trying to find h and k. And so just because we have a -2 here for h, that plugs into the formula as minus a -2, which changes to x plus 2, because minus a negative is a plus. And we have a 3 for k, and that ends up being y minus 3 squared. So everything ends up being opposite for the h and k. And then 4 squared is 16. And that's our answer. Try checkpoint 2. When you come back, I'll give you the answer. All right, the answer to checkpoint 2 is x minus 5 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals 100. Let's look at example 3. It says find the center and the radius of a circle whose equation is x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 9. Part B says graph the equation, so we're going to have to graph these things, which is a little different than what we've talked about, and I'll show you how to do those. So we've got to find h and k. That's our center. Our center is at h, comma, k. And h is the one that goes with the x, and k is the one that goes with the y. And we notice we got a -2 there, and I told you h and k are always opposite. So that means we have for h a +2 and for k a -4. Because 4 is plus, and that goes opposite, it's a -4. The radius, r, well, you find the radius, the formula is r squared. R squared equals whatever this is. This is the number in for r squared, so if r squared equals 9, and we got to solve for r, you take the square root of each side, just like we did in last chapter, and r is 3. And let's fix my 3. R is 3. Now, you can find that without doing this whole equation. You can just take the square root of the 9 and get the 3. Whatever this number is, you can take the square root of it to get it. But here's the formula. You know, the r squared equals the number. That's the formula you do to get the radius. Okay, so now that we have the center and we have the radius, we're going to try and graph this thing. So let me pull out a little graph here to make things easier. I know you don't have one. You guys are going to have to create one, but with this pen, it's really, really hard to create a graph. So we know the center of the circle is at 2, -4. So we're going to go right 2, down 4, and put a dot. There's the center of my circle. And we know the radius is 3. And so the radius just goes from the center, and it goes to the outside of the circle, and it goes all the way around. Well, it's hard to find that point that is 3 units diagonally. Okay, it's real hard to find that point, so we're not going to try and find that point. The best that we can do is we can do 3 units from the center. We can do it to the right. So if we go over 1, 2, 3, there's 3 units from the center to the right. That's the radius of 3. We can do it to the left. Go the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3 over there. And we can also count spaces up and down. So go up 3 and down 3. Now, are you going to make a perfect circle? No. Just try your best. I'm not going to make a perfect circle either. We could if we had protractors like you did in geometry, but we're not going to worry about that right now. just try not to make it some kind of diamond, or I don't even know what it's called, or an oval, or usually what happens is you make it look more of a squarish thing. You make it look like, well, even that's pretty good. I don't even know. You'll see when you start making them. It ended up getting stretched at the points. Just try and make it look as much as a circle as you can. So let's look at trying a checkpoint 3. And in checkpoint 3, you don't have to graph it. You just got to find the center and the radius, because I didn't leave you a graph, so I'm not going to make you, or enough room for a graph, so I'm not going to make you graph it. So go ahead, pause, try it. When you come back, I'll give you the answer. So the center, for the center you get -3, +1, and for the radius r, you get 2. Okay, so we have the standard form. The standard form of the equation is the equation that we talked about: x minus h plus y squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And then you also have a general form. And the general form of the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0. Now d, e, and f are just regular numbers. They could be positive, they could be negative. And then, of course, x squared, y squared, x and y are just exactly what they say. And so what we're going to do is convert from the general form to a standard form. That's what the problems here are. So let's see how that works. It says write in standard form and graph. So we got to graph it too. So we have this equation: x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 23 equals 0. And the first thing you do is, we don't want it equal to 0. We want that whole number 23 added to the other side. So we're going to add 23. And what we get is x squared. And the other thing we're going to do is take the 4x and write it after the x squared. We're going to group all the x's together, group all the y's together, and we're going to have to do something called completing the square for each group. So we got x squared, and we're going to move the 4x over so it's plus 4x. And then we're going to have to add, and we're going to leave a little blank here. You don't have to write the blank in, you just got to leave space really, but I'm putting it in just so you know we got to leave it. And then we're going to do the y squareds, and the y squared is going to be, there's going to be a plus, and then we're going to group the y's together. Y squared, and we're going to take this minus 6y, and we're going to write it after the y squared, so minus 6y. And then the 23 is on the 0 side, so we don't have to worry about the 23 anymore. See, those cancel on this side. But we're still going to add something to complete the square, and that equals 23. Now, here's how you complete the square. You complete the square, that's filling in these blanks that we have here, these two blanks, and it's called completing the square. And how you do it is you take the b term for each one. So this is the b term for each one, a -6 and a 4. And you take the b term and you take half of the b term and you square the whole thing. So on this one it would be half of 4 squared. Well, half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So 4 is what we're going to fill in. We're going to add 4. Oop, got mixed up there. Oh, I can't erase that line probably. Got a little screwed up. Oh, I can erase the line. We'll try my best here to get this line out of here. So half of 4 squared is 4. We're going to add this 4 to the x. when we add the 4 on the left side, we've got to add it on the right side. So we're going to have to add 4 to the 23. And we're going to do the same thing for the negative 6. We're going to have half of negative 6, and that whole thing is squared. Well, half of negative 6 is negative 3, and negative 3 squared is 9. So we're going to have to add 9 on this side. So, but if we add 9 on this side, we're going to have to add 9 on the 23 side. So what we get, if we add 23, 4, and 9, we get 36. So now what we have, when we completed the square, because we're trying to get it into standard form, which means we need it to look like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And we don't quite have that yet, but this thing right here can be factored, and so can this group. And so the factored form is going to be whatever we took. It's just going to be always going to be half of b for h. So h is always going to be half of whatever b is, and k is going to be half of whatever b is on that on the y's groups. So what we have is half of 4 is 2, so we're going to have x plus 2 squared and plus, and b in this term is negative 6, so it's going to be y, and half of negative 6 is minus 3 squared. And we've got this 36, but you got to remember 36, no, that's it. We don't need r, do we? We just got to write the standard form. So here is the standard form. Okay, try it in your checkpoint, and I'll give you the answer. Pause here, and then when you come back, I'll give you the answer. Checkpoint 4, the answer is x plus 2 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 5. That's all for section 13.1. I will see you in class.